Welcome to the BioPsych and Behavioral Neuroscience Lab. In this module, you will learn about the new edition of Garrett's Brain and Behavior, which is publishing this October. The information you will learn in this module will prepare you for pre-selling and potential class testing activities this fall. To help you move the needle with instructors, you will have a dedicated landing page for Garrett to support your selling efforts on campus. Biological psychology is the application of principles of biology to the study of physiological, genetic, and developmental mechanisms of behavior in humans and other animals. Garrett's Brain and Behavior is our core text for this class. We also have Proust's Drugs in the Neuroscience of Behavior for the Psychopharmacology or Drugs and Behavior course, which is a subdiscipline of BioPsych that focuses on drug interactions in the brain and how they affect biological processes. Remember, brain and behavior and drugs and behavior go together. Don't forget to ask your BioPsych instructors what else they teach to see if they're interested in reviewing Proust. The more you know about the Brain and Behavior course, the more successful you will be in selling Garrett's Brain and Behavior this fall. In this module, you'll learn to explore the Brain and Behavior course, competition, and the new edition of Garrett to prepare you to successfully roll current business and begin closing new business on our landing page. Garrett's Market is the biological psychology course that's taught at the sophomore or junior level out of the psychology department. This course can be called Brain and Behavior, Biological Psychology, Physiological Psychology, and more recently, Behavioral Neuroscience. About 100,000 students take this course each year. Most schools will offer this course, you just have to find it. So, what's this new course name, Behavioral Neuroscience? As you may recall from learning about Ray abnormal psychology, neuroscience is the study of the brain and nervous system and is one of the fastest growing areas of research in psychology. Biological psychologists have started using the term behavioral neuroscience to reflect advances in brain imaging technology. You may be asking, is this a completely new course area to learn? Thankfully, the answer is no. This is the same brain and behavior course you've successfully sold Garrett in for several editions. Now that you know more about brain and behavior, we're going to tell you about all of the great updates to the 5th edition of Garrett. The more you know about what has made this book a success and how the new edition has changed, the better prepared you'll be to key in on what's important to your customer and sell what matters most to them. Many students come to the Brain and Behavior course with little exposure to scientific and biological concepts. To address this, Garrett takes a big picture approach to behavioral neuroscience through its clear and compelling writing style that grabs and holds students' attention. The text's engaging features and supportive pedagogy provide students with opportunities to make connections and check their understanding. Garrett's real-world applications show students how cutting-edge research and newsworthy topics affect their everyday lives. Garrett is also a fan favorite among faculty because of its outstanding art program that brings complex concepts and processes to life. In addition to the contextualized discussions of chapter concepts and Bob Garrett's signature writing style, Brain and Behavior includes numerous engaging features to pique students' interest and tons of pedagogy to support their understanding of the material. Each chapter includes an application box that discusses how psychologists apply concepts to real-world settings, and an In the News box that highlights topics that have been covered in the press within the past calendar year, showing students how behavioral neuroscience is covered in the media. Garrett is also praised for its in-chapter and end-of-chapter pedagogy, from learning objectives, concept checks, chapter summaries, and end-of-chapter features including for further thought discussion questions and test your understanding quizzes. If you flipped through the 4th edition of Brain and Behavior, you'd be hard-pressed to find a page without a detailed medical illustration, stunning photograph, or detailed figure. This is a highly visual class due to the amount of biological information students will be exposed to, some for the first time. Advances in brain imaging technology also provide us with ample opportunity to visually demonstrate these exciting and complex topics to students. We're excited to unveil Garrett's brand new 5th edition cover design, a serious departure from our 4th edition cover and other books on the market. No more confused instructors asking if Garrett is the book with the brain on the cover. Please also note our new co-author, Gerald Huff. He worked on the 4th edition study guide and is intimately familiar with the content of this book. We've also used a new minimalist interior that highlights the beautiful photos and illustrations on each page. We worked with subject matter experts to consult on the visual program, ensuring the illustrations and photos are engaging, accurate, and up to date. Nearly half of the visual program has updated for this edition. Now that you've gotten a sneak peek at the visual program, let's learn what else is new to the 5th edition. Going back to our favorite buzzword for this class, we decided to update the subtitle of the book to An Introduction to Behavioral Neuroscience. This highlights the inclusion of cutting-edge research and terminology in the book. The brand new Research Spotlight feature introduces students to innovations happening in the laboratory and the field. New topics for the popular In the News boxes help students make connections with current events and real-world implications. 30 application boxes, most of which are brand new to this edition, provide students exposure to clinical and real-world implications for advances in the field. In addition to our fully revamped art program and design, we've added brand new animations to the book's digital resource package. And don't forget, we have a new co-author for this edition, Gerald Huff. To accompany our stellar art program in the book, Garrett has a series of animations that students can watch to get a deeper understanding of the biological and psychological processes being described in the chapter. In the 4th edition, we offered 12 of these animations, all tied to figures in the book. To go along with our update of the illustrations, we wanted to make sure our animations got the same treatment. We brought in a new vendor to redesign these animations and added narration to guide students' understanding. The 12 newly created animations are called Figures Brought to Life, and are exactly that, figures in the chapter in motion. We also consulted with the authors and subject matter experts to create 9 additional animations. These brand new animations are called Stories of Brain and Behavior and explain chapter concepts in a narrative storytelling format. All 20 of these figures tied to animations are called out in the text. The 5th edition of Brain and Behavior comes with a suite of resources for students and instructors. A completely revised student study guide provides additional opportunities for practice and self-testing to develop a complete understanding of the material. Contents are tied directly to the chapters in the core text and include chapter outlines, learning objectives, summaries and guided reviews, short answers and essay questions, and a post-test. In addition to a complete Sage Edge package, this book will also have an interactive ebook and course pack. Encourage your instructors to save their students money and sell Garrett bundles. You'll be making money in the process. The more you know about the competition in the brain and behavior market, the better prepared you'll be to open up and close adoptions in your territory this fall. The competitive landscape for this market is pretty clearly segmented into high, mid, and lower level. Garrett sits in the middle of this spectrum, but you shouldn't feel restricted from calling on instructors using more or less comprehensive texts. The 2 best-selling books in this market, Callett and Pinnell, are in the mid-range like Garrett and hold over 60% of the market alone. Callett is the most similar in length and approach to Garrett, and the last edition published in 2015. Be sure to call on Callett users and ask them about how important it is for them to include current research in their class. Pinnell relies heavily on case examples to reinforce content. A new edition published this past January, but at 18 chapters may not be the best fit for instructors who cover 1 chapter per week. Shifting to the higher end of the spectrum, we have the 8th edition of Breedlove, which published in fall 2016 with a new title, Behavioral Neuroscience. It was formerly called Biological Psychology. Instructors looking for an emphasis on current literature and a strong visual program might be open to looking at Garrett if they're having a tough time getting through all of 19 of its chapters. The 12th edition of Carlson, Physiology of Behavior, published in spring 2016 with a new co-author. This book also sits on the higher end of the market with 19 chapters and little in the way of features and pedagogy. Instructors looking to enhance student engagement may be interested in Garrett's robust feature program. Carlson's Foundations of Behavioral Neuroscience is a more concise yet higher level book that focuses on human and animal behavioral concepts. It has more market share than its physio counterpart, but has not revised since 2013. Instructors looking for a more current text may be open to switching. Finally, at the lower end of the spectrum, we have Watson and Breedlove's Mind's Machine. This brief interdisciplinary book is lower level than Garrett, but hasn't revised since 2015. Instructors looking for a more current text with the same engaging style may be open to switching. The more you know about how to structure your brain and behavior sales calls, the more successful you'll be in closing business. That's why in OHI, you'll focus on applying your CSP skills, paying close attention to the purpose, process, and payoff statements to develop a plan for your Garrett sales call. To prepare for our workshop, we're asking you to write your own purpose, process, and payoff statements. Please be sure to submit these to Sveta Mihailov by Friday before the sales meeting. These skills will help you gain permission to engage your customers with the Garrett landing page and be on your way to closing business in the fourth quarter.